life. The greatest treasure of all.
Okay, hi, hello. Our first order of business today, getting right to it, is to kill the drowned crew. Ah, the jester's overkill. So in case, people did not see my tweet last night, which is entirely possible because it was late, I did a little bit of prep work last night after the stream was done to make sure that I was ready to more or less get right into it today. I'm taking a couple of fairly irregular trinkets with me because I have designs.
While the greedy dogs slept off their revelry, I hexed their anchor with every twisted incantation I could muster, imbuing it with the weight of my ambition and my contempt for their crude extortion. At the witching hour, the anchor pulled with preternatural force, dragging craft and crew down into the depths. They must have cried out, but no sound escaped the swirling black waters.
Our grandpa may have done a crime or two in his day.
The poor devils, chained and drowning for eternity.
Alright, so it looks like the drowned crew is going to be up there. We don't have necessarily the best trinket layout for actual fighting, so I'm going to do my best to dodge unnecessary encounters.
The way is lit. The path is clear. We require only the strength to follow it.
Given his propensity for financial distress, I would say that he probably has not committed tax evasion. Unlike that wily dinosaur.
A fortune, waiting to be spent.
Alright, looks like we were pretty lucky here. We managed to scout everything out. Yes, these are the last of the regular dungeon bosses. After they have died, we will be free to take on the darkest dungeon. Oh well, 33%. As much as I would like to kill the Squiffygast, I do need to focus on the bloated thrall.
Confidence surges as the enemy crumbles.
But he's dead now, so it's fine. Get fucked, idiot! Oh, you asshole! I probably should have stunned him.
Festering fear consumes the mind.
This is why we bring laudanum.
The fiend falls, a faint hope blossoms.
Sorry, I've got an It's May, so I've said this the last three streams, but tickle in the throat, coughing a little bit. Sorry about that.
Give them no quarter.
The Squiffy gas can show up at any time, though they do have special interactions with the Jester.
The ground quakes.
Yeah, get banished, idiot.
Continue the onslaught. Destroy them all.
Okay, we took a bit of a beating there, so... Oh, that's nice. Let's go ahead and camp.
Gathered close in tenuous firelight and uneasy companionship.
We're definitely going to want to do Zealous Speech, because this next fight has a lot of stress damage in it.
In Radiance, may we find victory.
Oh, I was hoping that would be a buff, but it was just stress heal. Oh well.
Finding the stuff is only the first test. Now it must be carried home.
With that out of the way, we can safely toss our keys.
The match is struck. A blazing star is born.
Alright, so for this next fight, I have two strategies in mind. We will see how things pan out.
Even in death, the captain shouts his orders, and the crew obeys.
Oh, I forgot to do the thing. Alright, we have one strategy. We have one strategy that I hope pans out. Originally, I was going to have my Houndmaster guard dog a bunch and try and dodge the heave too, but I'm a fool. Oh, come on.
Impressive. Their formation is broken. Maintain the offensive.
He has high move resist, but it is possible. absolutely possible with this trinket configuration to move this guy up front. Haha! Alright, so now he can't do anything. All he can really do is just impotently try and move people around, but this guy will just stay in the back and be very sad.
Ears, blurred vision. The end approaches. In the swirling blackness, far beyond the light's reach.
Okay, that went about as smoothly as it could. He's now an Eldritch Hater instead of an Eldritch Slayer. I guess that's technically better.
The poor caretaker. I fear his long-standing duties here have affected him.
Well, mostly I was making progress towards the Drowned Crew boss in the Cove. And I made sure to level up Master Donger to Champion level 6. Also, something kind of funny happened. My original Man-at-Arms came back to life, so Maynard is back in the ranks at level 5. I dismissed my other level 5 Man-at-Arms because Maynard has Slugger locked, and Slugger is one of the best quirks in the game. Maynard fucking owns. He probably won't be going to the Darkest Dungeon, though. He's only level 5. Speaking of going to the Darkest Dungeon, it is time. For this dungeon, we want definitely a stress healer. And classes that are effective in multiple positions. There will be a lot of bleeding in this dungeon, actually, so I'm actually going to go ahead and take the Flesh's Heart on somebody. Maybe the Jester. Yeah, he'll get the Flesh's Heart and the Bright Tambourine to make him more survivable. The Hellion can actually cure her own bleed, so... she should probably go full offense. And the occultist gets the usual. Alright, good. I do have 2 Hellions. I was just making sure. I will definitely want one later. Alright, so, the Darkest Dungeon. The first thing to know about the Darkest Dungeon is that shovels and keys are useless. There will be no obstructions and no locked curios. In fact, there will be, with 1 or 2 exceptions, no curios at all. So you should fill your inventory entirely with supply items that can help you in battle, like herbs, bandages, and anti-venom. A strong supply of food and torches will also help. Given that this is the literal end of the game, and you will not be getting any loot from this, you should fill your inventory up with useful things without any reservation.
Once again, the stars are right, and the manor sits at the very epicenter of cosmic unrest. Cultists rally to their twisted idols, and great gongs sound in anticipation of the coming sacrifices. Far below, life-laden shadows pulse to the unrelenting rhythm of a beating heart.
So, Darkest Dungeon quests are a bit like
The
courtyard quests,
flows
actually.
ever downward along these titan spires. The creature fattens itself on your failures. As the light gains purchase, spirits are lifted, and purpose is made clear.
It is a fixed map, and scouting will only, let you know if you find enemies or not. And I'm not even sure if that will happen in here. But these are the first unique enemies of the Darkest Dungeon, the Rapturous Cultists. They are... they're very happy. They're just glad to be here.
Quakes.
They have no offensive options. They can either cover somebody else or heal themselves strangely.
Their formation is broken. Maintain the offensive.
They have no particular resistances to speak of, so they're mostly just cannon fodder.
This expedition at least promises success.
They are only dangerous in relation to other enemies, such as this pleasant fellow, the cultist priest. It is likely that we will kill this guy before he ever really has a chance to do anything.
Destroyed.
However, this is mostly just a taste of what's to come.
Seize this momentum. Push on to the task's end.
We also have upgraded cultists. This is the Ascended Brawler.
Press this advantage. Give them no quarter.
The Ascended Brawlers have some, enhancements. They are, of course, more powerful. But they behave in more or less the same way as their less fleshy counterparts.
As the fiend falls, a faint hope blossoms. A brilliant confluence of skill and purpose. Eradicated.
Like I said, there's no loot in here.
Remind yourself that overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer.
So your pack should be full entirely of supplies.
In Radiance, may we find victory.
We also have Ascended Witches, which are more or less the same. Since they do a lot of stress damage and mark people, they are a priority target. Ah, here we go. We finally get to see one of the priests in action. The theme for this particular dungeon is bleed damage. Everybody here does a shit ton of it.
Continue the onslaught. Destroy them all.
The cultist priests are probably the most dangerous enemies here, because not only do they do high bleed, they can also inflict a lot of stress damage at the same time. Borderline omnipresent nature of stress damage in this dungeon does necessitate the need for a stress healer like a Jester, or a Crusader or Houndmaster if you want to go budget.
Confidence surges as the enemy crumbles.
A healthy supply of bandages is probably what's going to see you through this dungeon more than anything else. All of the enemies here also have fairly high dodge, so having a jester along to buff everybody's accuracy is also good.
These nightmarish creatures can be felled. They can be beaten.
Should be noted that in the first Darkest Dungeon mission, there are no enemies that actually inflict blight, so I wasted my money on
the light, the promise
the
of
anti-venom.
safety.
But it's like, come on. You wouldn't know that your first time through, that there's nobody that inflicts blight in here. I'm just giving you the authentic experience of overbuying. The priests are fairly resistant to bleed, but they're not immune to it, so it's not a total waste of time. Generally speaking, I find occultists to be more useful in this dungeon than vestals.
Blow.
The damage is not especially diffuse, if that makes sense. It's like, you tend to get big hits to one person from the finger or what have you. Your two frontliners will take quite a bit of chip damage from just Deathlash, but the stress is the bigger issue.
A singular strike. Ghoulish horrors, brought low and driven into the mud.
This map is basically entirely mirrored. So there's no real point to exploring all paths.
Impressive.
Because, like I said, with one exception, there's no loot in this dungeon. there's something worth noting. A little bit of a trick you can do with the Rapturous Cultists, if you even really want to call it that.
Masterfully executed.
If there's a party configuration with 2 Rapturous Cultists, if you kill those 2 last, then you can actually just sandbag indefinitely against them and heal yourself. Because they can only do flesh wall and flesh to flesh. Flesh. You are in absolutely no danger whatsoever to just completely reset yourself. The way that reinforcements work in this game is that they will only trigger if you spend too long to kill a single enemy. If there are 2 enemies, even if they are completely worthless like these 2, then you can take as long as you want. So the thing that I really love about these guys is when they do their cover move, Flesh Wall, it looks like they're doing that thing, like they're photobombing and doing that weird pose where they're crouching in front of somebody. Like I'm sure there's a better example that I could think of, but if you know what I'm talking about, it's funny, I swear.
Death by inches. The way is lit. The path is clear. We require only the strength to follow it.
Yeah, that. It looks like they're doing that. And I think that's really funny because I'm an idiot.
The match is struck. A blazing star is born.
Now, I did mention that there is no loot in this dungeon with one exception, and I would be remiss in my duties not to show it off, so... Recall that we found a similar looking curio. Oh, fuck off. We found a similar looking curio in the special Hamlet dungeon when Wolf invaded. Dog hug. Oh, good thing
the
I did that.
tide turns. Slowly, gently. This is how a life is taken.
The first mission of the Darkest Dungeon is more of an introduction to everything than anything. So it's not, like, hugely dangerous just yet, but things can rapidly spiral out of control if you're not on top of it.
A trifling victory, but a victory nonetheless.
If we didn't have a more or less full collection, then you could find ancestral trinkets in those bags. But since we have everything except the stuff you can get from the Shambler, which I only have one or two of, we just get normal loot instead, which is still helpful. Sorry, I was just checking a map real quick. I do still have delusions of finishing this today, so I want to make sure that I'm on the right track and doing things in more or less the right way, so we can get through this with some time to spare, I guess. This is a new type of enemy, the Malignant Growth. They're sort of whatever. Like, they're not hugely difficult. They are extremely resistant to bleeding, though, probably because they are, like, mostly statue. They have two moves, Maul the Flesh and Daze the Mind. Maul the Flesh, if it hits, will inflict bleeding.
Exposed to a killing
It's also a
blow.
pretty powerful hit, so you can't just ignore them.
A powerful blow.
Fortunately, everything in here is fairly vulnerable to being stunned. So you can sort of maintain control of the flow of battle by stunning key targets at the right time to keep things from spiraling out of control. Oh god, a Dwarf Fortress stream. That would be a thing.
The slow death. Unforeseen. Unforgiving. Inspiration and improvement. Be wary. Triumphant pride precipitates a dizzying fall.
Alright, we do have access to one camp in this mission, so I think we should probably take advantage of that.
Huddled together, furtive and vulnerable. Rats in a maze.
We should actually avoid battle trance, because the next fight, well, the name Shuffling Horror is not just for show. Let's just say that much. Just having a nice little camp beneath the skull gong. Since we have some extra food, there's no reason not to use it just as a heal. They're being very mean to my jester. They're trying to freak him out.
Precision and power.
Since we have a potent stress heal with the jester, the priest is still the priority target here. She'll die to bleed now. Yoink! That's enough of that.
Obliterated. As victories mount, so too will resistance.
Alright, so this is the boss, the Shuffling Horror. You might find its aspects similar to another boss, the Shambler. It just has somewhat more mouths than usual. The Houndmaster is an ex-cop. He uncovered a plot of corruption in his hometown and then quit the force and went to go fight tentacle monsters. So, this fight plays out fairly similarly to a normal Shambler fight, but there's a couple differences.
Compassion is a rarity in the fevered pitch of battle.
Such differences are this: undulations.
Well struck.
Instead of spawning little friends, the Shambler, the Shuffling Horror will instead shuffle you around each turn because, you know, it's in his name. He's contractually obligated. And he'll also just use Lacerate to inflict bleeding. Now, it's very important. It is extremely important that you do not kill the priest. If you kill the priest, bad things will happen to you.
Unnerved, unbalanced. A decisive pummeling.
Basically, once you kill the priest, he will start using a reinforcement move called something extremely eldritch.
The wounds of war
That move
can
inflicts,
be
like,
healed,
immense
but
stress
never
damage. And will also summon in enemies that are arguably worse for you than the priest.
Prodigious size alone does not dissuade the sharpened blade.
Fortunately, if you know pretty much what you're doing, this is not a difficult fight. Okay, so
Success.
since that
so
technically
clearly
was a
in
Shambler
view.
fight, we do get an Ancestor
Or
trinket
is it
from it, the
merely
Ancestor's
a
Scroll.
trick of the light?
There is no reason to stick around in the darkest dungeon, so we can just return to the hamlet. So, the thing to note about We Are the Flame is that one of our rewards is a set of 3 Talisman of the Flame trinkets. They have a very specific use that will come into play next dungeon.
You have merely glimpsed the edge of the abyss. but it is enough to trigger the cycle of revelation. Now, like me, you will begin to see things as they truly are.
So a couple of things happen when you complete a Darkest Dungeon quest. The first and most beneficial is that it inspires all the heroes in the hamlet and all stress is removed. The second is that the heroes that you took into the Darkest Dungeon get this torch marker next to them. And that means that if you're playing on Darkest, Blood Moon, or Stygian difficulty, they can't go back in. They refuse. They will just run away screaming. They will also start saying very sad and disturbed things in town. These heroes will also no longer take up a slot on the roster, so if you feel like you need to, you can go ahead and recruit some extras. I think that since we only have one grave robber on hand, we should get a spare just in case.
Eye, gold gleams like a dagger's point.
Alright, so the next Darkest Dungeon mission, 2 of 4, is Lighting the Way. The creature's gestation must be interrupted. Overwhelm the defending force and illuminate the beacons. Force the thing to reveal itself prematurely. Alright, it is this mission why we really wanted an appropriately leveled man-at-arms. We will also want to bring a Houndmaster. And for the last slot, probably a Bounty Hunter. So, for this particular run, we don't actually want to equip any Crimson Court set trinkets because we need to make room there we go, if I can find them, for Talismans of the Flame. We are also going to go ahead and put that move stone on our Bounty Hunter. I once again have trickery in mind. I was just checking to make sure that before we leave we have everything that is relevant upgraded to the max. A lot of people think that this upcoming mission is one of the hardest in the game. I guess that probably wouldn't have worked anyway. So this is a long mission, so we want to bring plenty of food. We also have to deal with these hands of glory, which is kind of annoying. We want plenty of supply items. Maybe we can make do without... If we're frugal with torches, we should be okay. I really would like some... I wish these stacked! Why don't they stack? Alright, I believe that blight is more prevalent than bleeding in this dungeon, so... Okay, there we go. That should be fine.
The thing has no name, for it needs no language. Nevertheless, those who would submit to its word this will are rewarded in a fashion. The creature's blessings are as repulsive as they are robust. Twisted, half-human monstrosities stalk the flesh-ridden halls, protecting their gestating god.
So we're back in here again. We have 3 choices of way to go. This is not like the last mission. It is not at all linear.
Madness made flesh. It crawls steadily upward from the pit, supported by the lattice of cyclopean pillars.
The walls have more mouths now, but it's probably okay.
The fiend falls, a faint hope blossoms. Exposed to a killing blow.
That's their stun move, by the way. So, the reason that this mission can be a little bit difficult is twofold. One, it's Darkest Dungeon mission, so it's going to be difficult pretty much regardless. 2, your choice of trinkets are somewhat, limited, because you have to bring... You have to bring the whatchamacallit, it's the Talismans of the Flame.
Dazed, reeling, about to break.
Also, I'm already getting my ass kicked in, like, the first fight.
Injury, palpable fear. Their formation is broken. Maintain the offensive.
His worked! That's not fair!
momentary abatement. Press this advantage. Give them no quarter. Success so clearly in view. Or is it merely a trick of the light? The match
well,
is
this is
struck.
why we bring a lot of
A
food.
blazing star is born.
That is a good question. I don't know what happens to the talismans if you get owned.
The way is lit. The path is clear. We require only the strength to follow it.
Oh, you're fine.
Continue the onslaught. Destroy them all. Compassion is a rarity in the fevered pitch of battle. Confidence surges as the enemy crumbles. As life ebbs, terrible vistas of emptiness reveal themselves.
Well, that's bad. They hate my bounty hunter so much.
These nightmarish
Might have to go
creatures
for an
can
early
be
camp
felled.
if this
They
keeps
can
up.
be beaten.
Honestly, discretion is the better part of valor. Let's go ahead and camp.
A spark without kindling is a goal without hope.
I wouldn't say that we're in great shape, but we're okay. I also made a mistake there. I should have used Sanctuary instead of Hound's Watch. It would have healed the bounty hunter up to full.
In Radiance, may we find victory.
So, this is why this mission is so difficult. So, these enemies, the Templar Impaler and the Templar Warlord, they will always use one action to do Revelation. Now, if you have a Talisman of the Flame equipped, Revelation does basically nothing. However, you only have 3 talismans. Therefore, this necessitates some form of cover. You will need to somehow ensure that the 4th member of your party that does not have a Talisman of the Flame does not get hit by Revelation. Which is why a Houndmaster and a Man-at-Arms are extremely useful for this mission. Jesus.
Death waits for the
much easier when you kill one. This is probably the hardest fight in the dungeon. Which is why you should probably do it first.
The wounds of war can be healed, but never hidden.
This is extremely not cool of you, by the way. Please allow me to act. Alright, in the interest of preventing my Houndmaster from going to brink of death, let's do that.
Prodigious size alone does not dissuade the sharpened blade.
Alright, cool. With only one of them left, and that one being the least dangerous of the two.
A decisive pummeling.
We should be okay.
A devastating blow.
Though we're definitely not out of the woods just yet.
Compassion is a rarity in the fevered pitch of battle.
Vestal healing can definitely kind of fall off later in the game, and this is a good example of how that works.
balanced.
Alright, well, the hump is over.
A trifling victory, but a victory nonetheless.
Nothing else in the dungeon should be as hard as that, and hopefully we can, use some of the intervening fights to sort of get ourselves back up to speed. There is another treasure bag up to the upper right-hand side of the map, but since we're sort of in bad shape, I think I'm going to skip that and just head straight for where we need to go. Because it won't actually give us anything interesting.
As the light gains purchase, spirits are lifted, and purpose is made clear.
So, since this is another, double rapturous fight, Jesus Christ.
Teetering on the brink, facing the abyss.
I'm gonna try and kill the cultist first.
Perched at the very precipice of oblivion.
Try in vain to protect my Hound Master, I guess. I agree. Yarg. Holy shit! Yeah, how do you like it, dickhead?
Soothed. Sedated.
Yeah, the Rapturous cultists are a little too out of it to understand the concept of overhealing.
Struck.
Okay, cool. Now we basically just have a full heal on our hands, and boring as it might seem, I intend to take full advantage of it.
Compassion is a rarity in the fevered pitch of battle.
Darkest Dungeon pulls no punches, and neither shall I. If you want, you can imagine that scene from way back when the Pokemon anime was new and Ash had to fight a bug catcher who had a Metapod with his own Metapod, and all they did for like an hour was harden at each other. That's basically what's going on right now. There are going to be a lot of dogs howling. And a lot of marks going off for no reason. And a lot of fighting. Fortunately, it shouldn't take too long to get back up to full capacity, more or less. I have no real way to deal with Brink of Death, but that's fine. It's technically called Death's Door Recovery, but I'm used to Final Fantasy, so whenever somebody has, like, res sickness, I just call it Brink of Death. Donger has raised his protection to 135% plus. I believe that it actually caps out at like 80%, so you can't be literally invincible. Not that it would really matter, since these guys can't attack, but you know. You know. No, the dog howling is like supposed to be the opposite of unsettling. It heals stress. Sometimes. It's kind of inconsistent. But we're almost done, so we won't have to hear it very much. Until the next time I get beaten to death and have to recover against two guys who like to bite themselves.
Momentary abatement.
The puppy is absolutely doing his best. Her best, actually. Puppy is putting in overtime. Alright, I think 20 is like within acceptable parameters.
A momentary abatement.
Honestly, this abatement has been going on for like good 5 minutes now. Alright, yeah, 13 is fine. Time to kill these jokers.
Decimated.
They are, in fact, healing themselves by biting themselves. I don't know how that works. I think it's all in the mind.
As victories mount, so too will resistance.
I guess it's sort of like how the flagellant heals himself by bleeding.
The light, the promise of safety.
This is a new enemy, the defensive growth. The defensive growth, as you might expect, doesn't actually do a whole lot, aside from defend. It can be fairly safely left for last, because without... It's not like a huge threat, and without other monsters to buff, it doesn't do a whole lot. The ritualistic restoration that it does is actually fairly trivial. Bolster can be a bit of a problem. It does increase their critical hit by a worrying amount. But now all it does is unbearable tremors, which is very minor stress damage to everybody.
Precision and power.
Which, in the context of where we are, is
This expedition
extremely
at
whatever.
least promises success.
Alright, so here is the next boss fight-ish thing. Instead of two Templars, we get a Templar Warlord and two Flesh Dogs. They're eldritch beasts. There's not much to really say about them. They inflict a bit of stress damage with each attack, but they are probably the least threatening enemies in here. Stinger shot is a real problem. many anti-venom, actually. The accuracy debuff from Brink of Death is starting to get a little annoying. I think I might switch around my Man-at-Arms skills a little bit. Switch out Rampart for Command.
Momentary abatement.
On their own, they're not too bad. Like, Doomsday is a real problem, but we have anti-venom. Dog is still very powerful when dog hits, but...
Mortality clarified in a single strike. A victory. Perhaps the turning point. Remind yourself that
Alright, that's 2 out of 3 done.
Slow and insidious killer.
I don't believe that random reinforcement hallway fights can occur in the Darkest Dungeon. This charming facade seems like a perfect place to camp.
Huddled together, furtive and vulnerable. Rats in a maze.
Alright, no real way to get rid of Death's Door still, but, we should be okay for now. Hunger checks are fairly uncommon in the Darkest Dungeon to make up for the fact that they're pretty big. Come to think of it, the shield breaker would be pretty useful in here. She would be able to bypass a lot of the more annoying guarding stuff.
inspiration, and improvement.
More of the flesh. Bash the death. Fire the dog cannon!
Eradicated.
Fire the mace cannon?
Annihilated. Be wary. Triumphant pride precipitates a dizzying fall.
Almost done. We just have one more Templar fight, and then we're done with what is widely considered to be the hardest mission in the game. Honestly, I would probably say some of the courtyard missions are harder, but those sort of follow their own rules. Die to bleed. Or... no, he died to bleed. Okay.
By inches.
I was afraid he might get bitten to health. Because that's a thing, apparently. Oh, stop it! Enough with your nonsense. Punch him to death. Jump. Alright, we can't do a complete sandbag operation, but
momentary
we
abatement.
can at least take a little bit of time to make sure we're at full health before the next fight. Or not.
The ground
Sometimes you get a crit.
quakes. Ghoulish horrors, brought low and driven into the mud.
The darkest dungeon looks really cool. Well, that's last of the food. I think I prefer it when it's in its non-fleshy state because the architecture sort of stands out more. And I personally find the architecture much more unsettling than I've got a mouth. The dog treat will only go to the dog. That is the law. Oh, come on! Come on!
A dizzying blow to body and brain.
Total overkill, but I couldn't risk him getting healed. A big part of these fights is mostly just maintaining. Trying to make sure that you keep things in a fairly stable state so they don't spiral out of control. Riposts are very useful in here because they bypass the fairly ubiquitous guarding tactics that the enemies like to use.
Seize this momentum. push on to the task's end.
Alright, this is the last fight in the dungeon. Hopefully it won't go too terribly. These are new enemies called polyps. Fans of Lovecraft will know that motherfucker loved polyps. Me, not so much. The polyps can inflict blight, and their banish attack, if it hits, can knock characters back rows. Alright, now we only have to worry about this guy. And on their own, they have proven to be manageable. The double trouble fight was, quite scary.
A brilliant confluence of skill and purpose.
That was a bit of a risk. I didn't regard. But I'm near enough to the end of the mission that I'm feeling a little bit frisky. I kind of just want to be done. No use tempting fate. Christ, that blight does a lot.
The bigger the beast, the greater the glory.
Okay. That's mission 2 of the Darkest Dungeon complete.
The maniacal cultists are quelled for a time, but there can be no celebration. Your progress is measured only in progressive realization and dawning horror. You are in the shadow of the end.
Alright, so, once again, all stress has been removed. The 4 heroes that we took no longer take up a spot on our roster and will not go back into the Darkest Dungeon, even if we threaten to tickle them. Alright. The next mission is kind of a doozy. As you might see, it is exhausting in length. Alright, well, on the bright side, we no longer have to deal with nonsense like, Talismans of the Flame. We have other things to worry about. Sorry, I'm doing some calculations about positioning. Such things are very important in this upcoming dungeon. The only way to get a hero to go back into the darkest dungeon is to play on Radiant mode, which is basically the, I don't want to take a month to finish this game mode. Alright, we are actually going to bring along the Hag's Ladle in here because we want to make absolutely sure that we blight stuff. It'd be nice if I had something that increased both accuracy and damage. Oh, of course, I'll just put on a damn sun ring. Alright, we have the Dark Ritual, etc., Unspeakable Commune. We really do want all of the food we can carry. Though, we can probably make do without that last 4. The fact that firewood doesn't stack in this mission is actually really annoying. really need the 2 step? Kinda. We don't really have a way to increase the light on this party. Alright, yeah, we'll need more anti-venom than bandages, I think. But we do have battlefield. Whatever. Whatever! Doesn't matter. We're going in.
The interminable stone holes are but an antechamber. The creature is vast beyond measure, and must be battled from within. Step over the threshold, and let the terrible truth worm its way into your mind. The Gateless Gate. A maddening aperture to realms beyond human understanding.
Computer? Hello? Are we okay? Ah, here we are. In the meat dimension. Alright, so, in the interest of this not taking 5 hours, I have a map open, and I'm going to try and take the most expedient route to the end. Because this is the largest map in the game, except compared to certain courtyard missions. And if things go south, it can take an awfully long time. We are no longer facing cultists. We are now pretty much exclusively facing flesh hounds and polyps.
A brilliant confluence of skill and purpose.
The stuff in here is more resistant to blight than bleed, but with the Hag's Ladle and the Blasphemous Vial, it's not really a big deal.
Continue the onslaught. Destroy them all.
Fetch can move you forward and stun you, depending. But, flesh hounds are fairly non-threatening. They're kind of cute, honestly.
As the fiend falls, a faint hope blossoms. Press disadvantage. Give them no quarter. Seize this momentum. Push on to the task's end.
I like how even in the body of this cosmic horror, we can still hear the Jester's bells jingle-jangling. need to take a right here. And be introduced to the main gimmick of the dungeon. This is the Mammoth Cyst, and this is the White Cell Stalk. The Mammoth Cyst is unique in that he takes up 3 spaces.
Inspiration and improvement.
The Hellion has a very important role in this fight. For you see, the White Cell Stalk has a very annoying ability. It can teleport you for reasons unknown. And by teleport, I mean just literally fling you to other sides of the dungeon. Don't quit your day job. For this purpose, we have the Hellion and Iron Swan.
Annihilated.
That's better. Ideally, we want to have the Blade Doctor flinging blinding gas every turn. Due to the fact that the Mammoth Cyst gets 2 actions, it's fairly easy to make sure that he's basically perpetually only getting 1. Please stop. It's very important that we kill this guy.
Their formation is broken. Maintain the offensive.
You want to keep the adrenaline rush buff going.
Eradicated.
This fight is very much sort of an endurance run. It's a lot like dealing with actually the Brigand whatever pounder. Actually is kind of my primary damage dealer here. Everybody else has duties to attend to. Unfortunately, he won't always get stunned, but he'll get stunned most of the time. That's unfortunate. That was like the lowest possible. start healing himself.
Masterfully executed. Well struck.
There we go. Debuffing is not especially useful against this guy, but I mean, it's probably more useful than Sacrificial Stab. Keeps the damage manageable, at least. Ooh, that's bad.
A time to perform beyond one's limits. Prodigious size alone does not dissuade the sharpened blade.
That was good, though. I am unsure how this guy operates when the Mammoth Fist is dead. Hopefully no teleport.
A powerful blow. Obliterated.
I guess we'll never know.
Be wary. Triumphant pride precipitates a dizzying fall.
There are a number of those mini-bosses in this dungeon. And they are the primary... They are the game's primary means of blocking your exit and completion.
A decisive pummeling.
Truly amusing.
Decimated.
They got poisonous brains.
Confidence surges as the enemy crumbles.
Sure. If you want to fix my formation, that's fine with me. The main problem with the Occultist is that Sacrificial Stab is a little bit inaccurate. So, it helps to have a Jester or somebody buffing up his accuracy, or using, Vulnerability
This
Curse.
expedition at least promises success.
So the secret to this mission is that it actually doesn't take that much time at all, if you know the route. At least, if you know the route. And you know how to deal with the Mammoth Cyst teleporting you places. So, this fella is the Templar Sniper, and, you might panic when you see him thinking, oh shit, I don't have any Talismans of the Flame, but actually, it's fine. It's not a big deal. He doesn't use Revelation. That's not to say that he's a chump or a pushover or anything. He doesn't have the really scary thing that you need a trinket to deal with. He is obnoxiously dodgy, though.
Precision and power.
Alright, he dead. Occultist.gif.
Great is the weapon that cuts on its own.
The match is struck. A blazing star is born.
Everybody gets a snack. Alright, so this room is the ultimate destination. And we need to deal with another mammoth cyst before we can get the mission over with.
A devastating blow.
Atta girl. Why we brought the holy water. That blight is real nasty. I'm almost positive that my plague doctor will get a turn before the white stealth. She has a speed of like 1,000,000. Yeah, we just didn't camp. I mean, if this fight goes south, which is definitely a possibility, we might have to camp yet, but I don't think that the game really expected the player to figure out such an effective strategy of dealing with the white cell stalks. Or maybe it did, and they just were like, good on you. You don't have to deal with this bullshit.
Death by inches.
The eye laser is kind of why you want to bring a jester. If that hits too many times, it can definitely be a problem. The stress starts piling up. How did you miss that? Come on. Come on.
The blood quickens.
Dick. Gross. That blight does a ton of damage, so I'm just gonna nip that in the bud.
Slow death. Unforeseen. Unforgiving.
Please don't teleport me, sir. I would be very sad if you did at this juncture. Alright, he'll die to blight, even if he doesn't get a turn. Alright, get fucked. We're done! Hooray!
As victories mount, so too will resistance.
Oh, of course, the Pagan Talisman. The plus 25% damage against the enemy that never appears ever! Alright, I don't understand. Do oranges just not exist in this universe?
At last, the twisted heart of the world is laid bare, for sword or supplication.
This isn't the sanitarium. This is the bar. Alright, the final mission. Hell is in the heart. You get a special achievement if you bring along Dismas and Ronald to the last mission. I already have it, but I figure I might as well. I'm looking at my various characters, and for this mission you really want high damage characters that can hit all ranks. So the Highwayman and the Grave Robber are both really good. Renaud is just a strong damage option, and he also gets a stress heal, which is important. For our last character, we will need a Vestal. An Occultist might also work, but there's a lot of diffuse damage going out here, so the reliability from the Vestal is useful. I am aware of certain techniques that one can use, but I don't really have the proper composition for that. Alright, we're going to give Renaud the Sign Conscription for the extra stress healed, and the Brawler's Gloves, which I picked up last night off stream, which give you a pretty hefty 25% damage if in position 1. I'm trying to think if I should give Dismas his Crimson Court trinkets, or if I should give him his head. I think I'm actually going to give him his Crimson Court trinkets. Because I want to give the Grave Robber the head for all the damage I can muster. head and a gun. Alright, this is a short mission, so there is no camping. Camping skills are utterly irrelevant. Alright, so, the secret to this mission is that, there's no reason to bring torches or food or anything. Just supply items. I'll take a little food anyway, just in case. I don't think it's unheard of to get a hunger check before you actually reach where you need to go. And they gave me a free shovel for some reason. If all else fails, I can just beat the thing over the head with a shovel, I guess. Why, if it isn't Grandpa!
In all my terrible researches, what I sought was a glimpse behind the veil, a crumb of cosmic truth. I found it here, and in that moment of brain-blasting realization, I ceased to be a man, and became a herald, an avatar of the crawling chaos.
Yeah, there is no light meter in here.
Life feeds on life. In your petty pursuit of family redemption, you consume those who rally to your cause, and in so doing, you strengthen the thing, accelerating the end. This is as it should be. It is why you are here.
I mean, this shouldn't be remotely surprising to anybody who's been paying attention. This is the grandpa who just, like, shoved little girls into the ocean and drowned crew members and fired cannons at the villagers.
We are chained here forever, you and I, at the end of the world. Free yourself, rouse the thing, and embrace the ineffable cosmic hideousness that lives within us all.
In we go.
You still foolishly consider yourself an entity separate from the whole. I know better. And I will show you.
So now we got a roughhouse with Grandpa a little bit. This fight is weird, and it takes a while. Basically, as the fight goes on, he will use sporadic reproduction, which makes these reflections, as well as these imperfect reflections that look all gooey. They're a little bit weaker, and they are the key to winning the fight. For you see, the Ancestor himself only has 5 HP, but he is immune to all things, except in one case if you bring like 2 Grave Robbers and keep blighting him, you can technically blight him to death and skip a lot of this. Reflections will use fairly non-threatening attacks, but they do cause stress damage, so having some form of stress heal in here is useful. Every time you kill an imperfect reflection, he takes 1 damage, so you have to kill at least 5. The stress damage can pile up pretty quickly in here. Oh, come on. Why gotta be that way? Fortunately, you are never in an awful lot of danger of actually, like, losing the fight from just damage. So if you need to just take a couple turns to do some stress healings... some stress healing, then you are perfectly capable of doing so. A Jester is actually not that bad of an idea in here. The reflections... don't have very high debuff resist, or a dot resist. So the harvest thing can inflict quite a bit of damage. So yeah, that's what happens if you try to attack the genuine article. He will just be immune. Oh, 2 at a time. I've never seen that one. The real Ancestors resists are 123% stun resist, 247% blight resist, 247% bleed resist, but actually he can be debuffed and moved around if you feel like messing with Grandpa a little bit. So yeah, this part of the fight, spoilers, there are multiple parts of the fight. It's a bit of a slog. Not much really happens. I am making actually really good time though. I'm pleased about this. Oh, this is annoying, though. He will occasionally go ahead and use Time Heals All to heal up his reflections. It's not a huge heal, so it's not a big deal. And it's not like the reflections are particularly hard to kill. It chooses, a slave obeys. It's a fucking reference for you.
The flesh is fluid. It can be changed, reshaped, remade.
Alright, so once you take his HP down to 0, in whatever method you so choose, he will become Big Grandpa and summon these things. Absolute nothingness. They have 9999 dodge, 9999 health, and 500% resistance to everything. You can't do anything about them. They're just there. Fortunately, he will just sort of zip around the battlefield. He only gets one action per turn, so this part of the fight isn't actually very hard. Like, he can't get a nasty crit, but that's easily enough. That's easily enough dealt with. For all these bandages, I might as well use them. He thought bad things at you. Well, yeah, the absolute nothingnesses are hard to get rid of, but they don't actually do anything, so that would be a bit of a stalemate final boss. I'm attacking one just to reposition myself, so Dismas can go ahead and use his parry. Duelist Riposte, I mean, sorry. Grandpa in this phase has a lot of health, but not much else going for him. If he proves to be particularly obnoxious, he can sort of focus on one character and stress them out a bit. Oh, hello. Back to the front.
flesh is immortal. It is undying. Pray it does not take too hideous a form.
He a cocoon now. The gestating heart, as it is called, has a couple of interesting properties. When you attack it, you will actually heal some health, but get a blight inflicted upon you. It doesn't do much. It will cast Dispersion, which can also inflict more blight, but I've got anti-venom. I'm not afraid. I will want to clear it up, though, before the next phase of the fight starts.
Behold the heart of the world, progenitor of life, father and mother, Alpha and Omega, our creator and our destroyer.
So this is the final phase, the Heart of Darkness, the thing that we are supposed to kill. This fight has a bit of a foible to it. Come unto your maker. So, this move is a little bit, interesting. As you can see, he's not doing anything. However, if I mouse over my heroes, they will say various things of varying states of distress. Should I click on one, they die. This fight is basically a DPS race. The heart does not do an awful lot, but given that he will instantly kill one of thine dudes at any given interval, it does mean things can get unmanageable. So now he does this twice in the fight, no more than twice. So now we have to choose between Renauld, Dismas, and Zelen 2.0. And you know what? Fuck you, Dismas. I had not forgotten that time where you fucking killed my Vestal by being a dick. So when you win, you get to reclaim the trinkets that you lost.
Victory. A hollow and ridiculous notion. We are born of this thing, made from it, and we will be returned to it in time. The great family of man. A profusion of errant flesh, multiplying, swarming, living, dying, until the stars align in their inexorable formation, and what sleeps is roused once more. To hatch from this fragile shell of earth and rock, and bring our inescapable end. So seek solace in a manner befitting your lineage, and take up your nugatory vigil, haunted forever by that sickening prose echoing through the infinite blackness of space and time. Ruin has come to our family.
So, that is one way to interpret the ending. However, I think that we also must take into account the fact that Grandpa is the very essence of an unreliable narrator. Okay, well, we beat the game. Hooray, hooray. But we still have an hour left to go. I don't really want to just, stop. We have, like, the most viewers I've had in weeks, so let's figure something out. I mean, I'm pretty sure at some point during one of my Stellaris streams I am going to kill the Voidborn Horror, so that's certainly one thing we could do. Let us try the Blood Moon difficulty. Look, I would totally do a 500-part Minecraft stream.
You will arrive along the old road. It winds with a troubling serpent-like suggestion through the corrupted countryside, leading only, I fear, to ever more tenebrous places. There is a sickness in the ancient pitted cobbles of the old road, and on its writhing path you will face viciousness, violence, and perhaps other damnably transcendent terrors.
Hey, it's us, Wave High.
So steel yourself, and remember there can be no bravery without madness. The old road will take you to hell, but in that gaping abyss, we will find our redemption.
So, Stygian mode is actually no longer a thing. It's defunct. Blood Moon is the new Stygian. They made a couple of adjustments to it to make up for the fact that, the Crimson Court will take you a couple more weeks than a normal Stygian run. At least that is my understanding. I could be wrong. I know how to play. So here we are, back with Renaud and Dismas, somehow alive again.
Brigands have run up these lanes. Keep to the side path. The hamlet is just ahead. Dispatch this thug in brutal fashion, that all may hear of your arrival.
Enemies in Blood Moon mode are tougher, they do more damage, they're a little bit faster, etc., etc.
As the fiend falls, a faint hope blossoms.
There's also this thing.
Those who covet injury find it in no short supply.
I would say that yes, Crimson Court is very worth the buy.
The rightful owner has returned, and their kind is no longer welcome.
So you technically don't have to interact with that, but why wouldn't you? Renaud's just sitting back here like, what the fuck is this guy talking about?
Prodigious size alone does not dissuade the sharpened blade.
Oh, I'm sure you could die right here if you tried hard enough.
Their formation is broken. Maintain the offensive. Welcome home, such as it is. This squalid hamlet, these corrupted lands, they are yours now, and you are bound to them. In time, you will know the tragic extent of my failings.
Ah, here's the thing. In the graveyard...
Most will end up here, covered in the poisoned earth, awaiting merciful oblivion.
But it will not come, Dismas. I remember what you did. Anyway, you only have a maximum limit of 16 characters that can die before you get a permanent game over. Because, as Grandpa was saying earlier in the Darkest Dungeon, the thing grows fat upon your failures, and the blood of the fallen flows down and makes it stronger. So if too many people die, then it wakes up prematurely, and, well, fragile shell of earth and rock and all that. Similarly, we only have 100 weeks to finish the game. If we get to week 101, it wakes up and we all die. Fragile shell of earth and rock, etc., etc.
Women and men, soldiers and outlaws, fools and corpses. All will find their way to us now that the road is clear.
I need respite. Well, too bad. There is no respite yet.
A mecca of madness and morbidity. Your work begins.
Interesting. Usually this is called the usual suspect. Oh, I see. It depends on who is in which position. Interesting. Yeah, it was 86 weeks in Stygian mode. Because you didn't have to deal with any courtyard bullshit. I guess we could do a quick run with masochistic Dismas.
The cost of preparedness, measured now in gold, later in blood.
Even at the very beginning of the game, always take 4 shovels. It's hot in here. 1 second. I need to turn my fan up. Okay, sorry, I'm back. To be perfectly honest, I was pretty sure that it would take me longer to finish the Darkest Dungeon. I'm a little unprepared for actually having like an hour and change left. So we might actually switch to Stellaris after we're done with this, because, you know, the very beginning of the game is not exactly scintillating. Oh god, this loadout for the Plague Doctor is awful. Buff up the Crusader, quick!
Executed with impunity. Begone, fiend! Seize this momentum. Push on to the task's end.
Oh hey, more shovels.
Even the cold stone seems bent on preventing passage.
Jesus. You okay there, Grandpa? I don't know if that was my computer or some sort of blood moon audio distortion. the horror. He's already afflicted, dumb shit.
Decimated.
Why? Is this the true terror of Blood Moon mode?
Confidence surges as the enemy crumbles.
Oh god, early game Vestal heals. So bad.
A dizzying blow to body and brain. Another one falls. Success so clearly in view. Or is it merely a trick of the light?
If I was the ancestor, I would definitely scream, "Get fucked, idiot," whenever an enemy missed. Oh, right. You're a fucking klepto at the beginning of the game. Fuck you. Take your shitty citrine. I hope you enjoy your 250 gold, asshole. Those fucking mosquitoes. Hate them. Get them out of here. On the bright side, my blight worked. It would be nice if they could, like, disable those if you're on Blood Moon mode or whatever. But then again, I know that some people do just start out with this mode because they love to die. Touch. Trump, the Hearthstone player, not the bad one, he actually had a playthrough of Darkest Dungeon going. I should actually get back to that, it was fun to watch. Where he just started the game pretty much completely cold on Blood Moon.
Continue the onslaught. Destroy them
Because
all.
he's quite confident in his speed, you know. Don't be gross, Dismas.
Press this advantage. Give them no quarter. Eradicated. Ghoulish horrors. Brought low and driven into the mud.
I guess it also forgets, like, your cataloged interactions of supply items and, curios, which is a little weird. Since Dismas is masochistic right now, there's only a 75% chance he'll successfully disarm this. I'm trying to light a torch, you incurable asshole. Do you want me to feed you to the thing at the heart of the world
beyond
again?
measure, awarded to the brave and the foolhardy alike.
Nom 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 nom. Like, honestly, in my other file, Dismas is like the hero of the people and a complete badass. It's just in this file, he fucking killed a Vestal for no reason.
The way is lit. The path is clear. We require only the strength to follow it.
I guess carrying around his own head for too long unhinged him. Decide whether or not he misses. Sometimes he says, "I never miss," and then he says, "Damn, I missed your eyes." Make up your mind. Your stupid masochistic mind.
A hand's breadth from becoming unwound.
Yes, die! Die!
As the fiend falls, a faint hope blossoms.
I'll get you off death's door, but nothing else.
Great is the weapon that cuts on its own. Soothed. Sedated. Their formation is broken. Maintain the offensive. Packs laden with loot are often low on supplies.
Alright, so that was a mission in Stygian mode. Pretty much the same thing. Nothing, like, radically different. Except that you start with the masochistic highwayman, I guess.
There is a great horror beneath the manor. A crawling chaos that must be destroyed. Tortured and reclusive, this man is more dangerous than he seems. Fresh kegs, cards, and curtained rooms promise solace to the weary and broken alike. The cobwebs have been dusted, the pews set straight. The Abbey calls to the faithful.
I guess I'll put those guys in stress relief. Dismas can get drunk and forget everything, I guess. But I will remember. throughout the infinite blackness of time and space. That sickening prose. Move failed. Oh, actually, that's kind of funny. If I were to continue on this file, I would have to take, on the next mission, only 3 characters, because the Abomination and the Crusader don't get along. At least we have a debuff stone. Okay, what could we do for 50 minutes? Because as much as I do enjoy this game, I'm not really feeling a Blood Moon run right away, like, unironically. I'm pretty sure nobody else is either. I don't actually know how to play solitaire. I don't actually know how to play Minesweeper either. Alright, let me find a suitable thing to do for a little while. Don't mind... Oh, this could be fun. I mean, I have played Minesweeper before. I just didn't really know what I was doing because I'm bad at numbers. And I've never played solitaire. I did play that Voltorb minigame in Heart Gold Soul Silver that's like Minesweeper. One sec. Oh, there it is. OBS was being a little bit, finicky about what it wanted to stream. But let's play a little bit of Dead Cells before it's time to go. Oh, hold on. I need to turn off push to talk real quick. Okay, you should be able to hear me now. Alright, I haven't played this game in, almost a year, actually. So let's see if I can remember how to play. In this game, you're supposed to go fast. So after going through the positively plotting Darkest Dungeon, we'll see how good I am at that, I guess. Honestly, I would kind of like to actually just start over from scratch here, because I think a lot has changed. Maybe there's an option for that. Trying to remember what the roll button is. Oh, it's B. Okay. B is a good roll button. Many games use that. Huh, they've changed this. It used to be that just red was flat damage up for everything. Now it seems like, maybe they balanced it out a little bit. I've never found one of those before. Swords are definitely, they're behaving differently than I remember. They used to be a lot smaller. Mutations are also new to me. But I do know enough that you always go for more damage. Alright, those are spikes. I'm definitely really good at this. I used to be. I used to be, like, genuinely pretty good at this game. I haven't played very often. in the intervening time. I've played other games that have started with the letter D. With dead or dark in the titles. Oh shit! Alright, yeah, this is a game where that can happen. Grandpa didn't even tell me that I was about to die. Nothing about terrible vistas of emptiness or anything. Sustain is good. Delicious skeleton chicken. Oh, for all I know, vampirism is terrible. Like I said, it's been over a year since, almost a year since I've played. Ah, the wall kebab. I think the Frantic Blade did more damage, but this has freeze synergy. And I have a Freezy Blast thing, so I figure that will probably do more damage in the long run. You can only use Vampirism once a level? What the hell is that shit? I'll go with fireworks technician since I have a grenade that I will definitely remember to use. It seems like they've definitely done some work here. Improving the font and the loading screens and all sorts of good stuff. Presentation is important. That wasn't the roll button, me. Hello, what's this? I definitely need to get my sea legs back when it comes to this game. Also might help to wear my glasses. Things are a little blurry and indistinct. I guess I'm getting older. Ah! Mercy! This isn't a game where I can look at chat. Hello? Spent the last month playing a game where I can just look over whenever I want because it's turn-based, but now we're in the realm of fast-paced roguelike action. I have no green items. More brutality! I remember that those little green bats explode if you don't kill them. Eh? Well, I don't want either of those. This sword is not doing me too much good anymore. I'll need to find something better soon. Or at least be better about freezing stuff before I chop it. That seems to increase the damage by quite a bit, and is the reason why I picked it up in the first place. Alright, so down there is death. That is good to remind myself of. No doors will survive. Oh, sword. Status stiletto. I mean, it's an upgrade. I don't think I have anything that inflicts... Maybe the buzzsaw inflicts bleeding. I think that they have either renamed some of these things or introduced new ones. Either is certainly possible. Just a little too slow. I have no green items! Red forever! What? There was nothing here? That's so disappointing. I just can't escape Dismas and his depraved ways. Alright, that's new. I don't know how to deal with that. Run away! Oh, a blueprint. I thought I'd gotten all of those, but of course. Stop it! I'm pontificating. I refuse to accept that Dismas is now legally my child. I will absolutely abandon that guy to the dumpster. I should use my Frost Blast more often than I am. It does damage in quite a wide area. It's good against the flying guys. And this thing has no reach. I guess it is a stiletto and not a sword. I always remember to pack my heroes' lunches, thank you. I'm very responsible about starvation checks. Recall, there was a sort of a rhythm to this game that you could get into where it's like you have to balance how fast you go with how much stuff you pick up, because certain infantry grenade, barnacle. Well, I don't have a wall jump, so I guess that's a no-go. Oh, right. The traps and stuff you lay down with special items. I guess I'll go with green, because it does seem like there's a depreciating, diminishing returns thing going on with how much HP you get. Oh no, it's an elite. Throwing knife 5. I like what I have. Oh, so there's like blueprints for mutations? That's interesting. Absorbs more damage, cannot parry. I mean, I don't really like shields to begin with, so I think I'll leave it behind, but that's nice, I guess. This guy used to have a different name. He was like the Incomplete or something. Not doing a lot of damage, am I? Ow. I remember this guy can be kind of an HP sponge. Ow. When he gets low on health like this, he just starts jumping around. Starts getting difficult to get a word in edgewise. Shoes? Alright. That's cool, I guess. Maximum number of mutations reached. I guess we'll keep going till I die. That might be sooner than anticipated, but that's fine. We've almost hit the time limit anyway. Maybe just mashing the kick button isn't the best strategy, but it's so much fun. How do I... Hello? Am I stuck? Can I not progress further, or am I just not jumping properly? Help! Alright, that's the first time I've seen something like that. Oh! FUD. Those bats keep fucking me up. Not now. 4L. It's more damage than Stiletto at present, unless I specifically have bleeding applied, which can be kind of tricky. Oh, there's a chest here. I love treasure. I always try to interrupt the big cannon man's attacks and get the bonus damage, but it never ends well for me because he doesn't flinch. I guess if I just keep doing it, I can maybe kill him faster. What do we got? Toxic Cloud. Cursed Sword. One hit and you're dead. Fuck it. We've got 3 minutes left. Let's go out in a blaze of glory. Delicious but useless kebab. I'm extremely brave. I don't know why things just keep exploding. It must be like a modifier on the sword I picked up. I'm starting to get back into the rhythm of it. Like, I have no doubt that I'm going to die in one hit pretty much immediately. Toasty. I mean, since I'm using a cursed sword, there's technically no downside to picking up the cursed treasure chest. I have no idea how one would get up there. Does this place have a bottom? I need a key. Ah, shit! The door closed! I was betrayed by the door! Oh well. That's right at 4 hours. So I think that's a perfectly reasonable place to stop. Okay, so thank you all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the finale of Darkest Dungeon. Tomorrow is probably some more Stellaris, unless I think of something particularly inspired, and then maybe we can also finish Subnautica up on Friday. And then next week I'll have to find something new to play. I have an idea, so look forward to it. Also, it is almost the end of the month, so I feel like I should plug my Patreon a little bit. If you don't want to go through Twitch or whatever, or you just want to do like a one-time thing for 1 month, then if you feel like donating, please do. Until tomorrow, I hope you all have a very nice evening.